Thank you very much for joining us for our second session of our webinar series today here at the University of Southern California Leonard Davis School of Gerontology. Today's session will focus on our 4 master's programs that focus on nutrition and dietetics. And we are joined today by Dr. Carrie Kreitzer, who is an instructional professor of clinical gerontology and pediatrics and director of our Master of Science in Nutrition, Healthspan, and Longevity program. Dr. Kreitzer has been a practicing registered dietitian since 1982, primarily serving at-risk and underdeserved pediatric and young adult populations. She has worked in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates as a clinical dietitian and directed maternal and child health nutrition for the New Mexico Department of Public Health. For over 20 years, she directed community education at the USC Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. And her areas of expertise include obesity prevention and intervention, developmental disabilities and chronic illness, public health and nutrition education, nutrition and health literacy, health systems, and healthcare access. We are also joined today by Laura Kaufman, who is the clinical preceptor and internship coordinator for the coordinated program in nutrition and dietetics here at our school. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Colorado Boulder, then went on to earn her master's of science in nutrition, healthspan, and longevity degree from USC back in 2020. She has worked as a clinical dietitian and outpatient clinical dietitian at USC hospitals, and was a registered dietitian at Shield Healthcare here in Los Angeles. So today we're going to focus on these 4 programs housed within the School of Gerontology. Those of you that are wondering what gerontology is, we define it as a study of aging across the lifespan, focusing on the aging process from prenatal and birth all the way to death, and all the processes that include psychological, biological, sociological, and public policy needs. This phenomenon is happening within the aging process, and we're able to study it through the lens within different programs that we offer here at the school. While we offer a variety of programs in different master's and undergraduate level, all the way up to the doctorate level, today's session will focus specifically on 4 different programs that are offered in their entirety, online or in person, both as a full-time or part-time options. These 4 programs are broken down into preparing you for different fields within nutrition and dietetics. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kreitzer to describe the first of our programs.
Oh, I wasn't muted. I'm good. Thank you so much, Stephen, for inviting me. I'm happy to participate and talk with those of you that are here. Please be sure to write down questions as you think of them or type them in the chat as we go. I know it can be confusing. We do have 4 different programs that all relate to nutrition in one aspect or another. And certainly students that are enrolled in our 4 programs are often in the same classes with other students in other programs, and there is overlap between all programs. So I will do my best to point out the differences between these programs so that they're clear in your mind in terms of what we offer. Our program that we've had the longest is the Masters of Science in Nutrition, Healthspan, and Longevity, or MS-NHL. And we started this in 2013. I began planning. We were approved in 2014, and we admitted our 10th group of students that will start with us this fall. We admit a group each year. So we've been around for a few years now. And it was a long process for this particular program because it is an accredited program through the Accreditation Council for Education in Nutrition and Dietetics, similar to medical school, nursing school, pharmacy school. The program is accredited to only accept a certain number of students per year, and our magic number for this current year is 24 students per year. So at any given time, we have 48 students enrolled in the program. The total number of units for this program is 44. And while you would think, but it's a master's of science, why is it so many units? This program is approved to not only provide the didactic content for nutrition dietetics, but also provides 1,000 hours of internship experience, enabling those that graduate to sit for the Commission on Dietetics registration exam and become a registered dietitian. We have three different options for the program. With all of our programs, we offer the programs on campus as well as fully online for those that choose to complete the program using technology from a distance. And our 2-year full-time program, we have campus and distance students. We offer to distance students a 3-year option, which spreads the courses out over a 3-year period. All the courses are the same. The internship hours are the same. It's just a little bit longer. We have quite a few prerequisites for any of you thinking about this program. These are not ones that we made up. These are prerequisites that are required by our accreditation body in order to begin this program. And with the prerequisites, our only requirement is not only that you meet them, but that you are completing them at an accredited university, college, university, community college. We've had students that take a number of prerequisites from different universities, different community colleges, all at the same time. And again, it doesn't matter to us when you take these classes. They just have to be completed prior to the first day that you are sitting in a chair or logging in online and beginning the program. So it's for many of our students, they have completed a number of the prereqs even before they decide to pursue our program. So from that standpoint, it's not too many. We also require that our applicants complete 40 hours shadowing a dietitian in any area that you choose. It could be in a hospital, it could be in a public health program, it could be in an outpatient clinic, it could be volunteering with a dietitian at a public school site. And the purpose of that is to really give you the opportunity to gain some experience understanding what a dietitian, a registered dietitian, would do in terms of a job. And that can be spread out over time. Again, we ask that you have that done prior to beginning. We will ask you with your application to tell us what you've started or what you plan to do for your volunteer hours. So don't feel that you need to have all completed by January 15, the application deadline for this particular program. Next slide. So you'll see some of these classes you'll see in the other degree programs. As I said, there is overlap, and these are the courses that are required for the MS NHL degree. And there's quite a few units in field practicum, which is your internship. That's JERO 591. I won't go into too much detail, but we do not require a thesis, nor do we require oral exams. We have built into our programs a capstone research project, and our students are pretty diverse in the types of projects that they take on to look at for research. And that is a 2-unit class that usually happens in the second year of the program, but we start working with students the minute they begin the program to be thinking about what their project would be and what they'd like to work on. The JERO 498, which is the first course that's listed, I have some pictures at the end of this PowerPoint. It is a course that takes place in Italy. It starts here in LA and continues in Italy. And it is one of the core courses of this program. It looks at where nutrition influences our health and longevity, starting at the cellular level, then animal models and human models, and looking at how diet ages the human body. And Following that, we've got 2 courses that build on each other, the fundamentals of clinical nutrition and screening. The course that builds on that is the advanced therapeutic nutrition, GERO 517. One is taken in the fall, the next in the spring. And likewise, GERO 513, the fundamentals of nutrition macronutrients. The course that builds on that, that's taken in the spring, is GERO 560, which is macronutrients, looking at vitamins and minerals and their role in health and longevity. In the last year, GERO 518, I teach as a current topics class, and every year it changes. It's my favorite class because we're always talking about what's new and emerging in nutrition and dietetics, and really getting to the bottom of the evidence and really exploring how we can apply that to practice. So 44 units. It is a pretty intense 2-year program. We squeeze all of this into a little under 2 years. It's fall, spring, summer, and then fall and spring of the second year. Next slide. In terms of who this program is designed for, in the US, in order to work as a registered dietitian nutritionist, all states require, if you are doing medical nutrition therapy, counseling individuals about diet for a medical condition, you either need to be registered as a dietitian in your state. Many states in the US, in fact, California is one of the few that is not licensed. We are not licensed, but we are, through our title code, are the designee for practicing nutrition dietetics. So some states have licensure in addition to the RDN credential. And if one were wanting to provide medical nutrition therapy, you would need to be a dietitian. When we talk about the LND program, you'll hear me talk about other careers separate from the RDN. We have many of our students that work at private practice, work in hospitals, work in long-term care, university food service. We have a pretty thriving sports nutrition program, and I've had a number of applicants that apply to gain experience and be ready for jobs in the area of sports nutrition. We've had a number of students that have gone on and applied for PhD programs and pursue doctorate level degrees in nutrition, dietetics, public health, and other areas, and some that look at policy and advocacy. Next slide. So that was, I'll come back when I get to our Masters of Arts, our Masters of Science in Longevity, Nutrition, and Dietetics. There definitely is a distinction between being an RD, being a health coach, or a food service manager. And again, it all looks at what are your credentials? What do your credentials provide you with the skill set to practice? And the coordinated program is really targeted for the RDN. And we do, can you just go back a slide, Stephen? We do have individuals that are international students that do go back home with their RDN credential. Once you become an RDN, you should maintain your credential, and you're required to complete 75 hours of continuing education every 5 years. So for our international students, they will need to find ways to meet that 75-hour requirement if they choose to maintain their status as an RDN. Next slide. So one of our newer programs, the Masters of Arts in Food Service Management, is really building on who we are in the USC Leonard Davis School of Gerontology. We are the #1 school of gerontology in the US, and we partner with many programs in the community serving older adults and seniors that either are living in independent living, supported living, or maybe in a memory center or a skilled nursing facility. And what we're finding, so much so in California, and we're starting to see across the country in the US, is that many organizations are wanting to hire individuals that are certified as a dietary manager or a CDM. And in this role as a CDM, an individual has primary responsibility for overseeing staff in the food service area, as well as developing the menus, ordering the food, providing high quality food. But as a CDM, individuals are also charged with having a relationship with clients or patients in that facility, making sure their nutrition needs are being met, finding out what are their food preferences, tracking their body weight, making sure that they're not losing weight, and working with other members of the health team at that particular site. So again, you'll see some of the classes overlap between our RDN degree and the MAFMD degree. This is the only degree in the food nutrition area that has no prerequisites that are required. One could have a bachelor's degree that was earned 20 years ago, and you've decided to go back and work towards a master's degree. We do not require any prerequisites for this program. And this program does include a little bit of internship hours just to give you some of those practical skills prior to graduating and looking for a job. But the courses offered do prepare an individual to sit for the CDM, and only 32 units for this program. And some of the same courses, the Communicating Nutrition Health is a course I teach. All students take that particular course. Food Production, Food Service Management, 515. Students in all of our programs will take that course. Field Practicum, you can see there's some units for Field Practicum in this program, as well as a number of courses that are looking at equipping you with the skills to look at budgets, to manage employees, to understand the older adult population. The GERO 488 is a new course we've developed, really trying to look at different food beliefs, different food practices, understanding culture, and how diet relates to disease and longevity. And we look forward to equipping these individuals that are really going to be on the front line preparing food for individuals in these different sites, understanding the cultural nuances that they will experience. Next slide. So with this MA in food service management, we really see this being targeted for those that want to take on a leadership role in food service management. We do have leadership skills development included in the program as part of the core courses. And we also have been receiving applicants that are already working in a food service management arena and are seeing the opportunity to take these courses, get the master's degree, sit for the CDM exam as a way to look for advancement in their job site as a manager. And career opportunities, not just in long-term care and working with older adults, but many organizations are now looking for CDMs in schools and hospitals, as well as corporate wellness. So I think we're going to see this area of growth for CDMs as we move forward. Next slide. The Masters of Science in Lifespan Nutrition and Dietetics is an offshoot of our coordinated program. We felt that there were individuals that didn't necessarily want to or need to sit for the RD exam, that wanted to gain the similar skills through the courses that we teach. this really was our effort to also reach out to a lot of international students that we find are interested in attending USC. We have done research to look at RDN requirements in other countries outside of the US, and not always is the US RDN credential required to practice nutrition and dietetics, and thus we included in the title of this degree, dietetics. We were told by a couple other countries that we talked to that they needed the word dietetics in the title so that they were sure that we were training future dietitians. Again, very similar courses, fewer internship hours. This group of students, as well as the RDN students, would be eligible to sit for the certifying exam for dietary manager, and a few less units than our coordinated program 38. Again, it can be completed fast track, or it can be completed over a longer period of time. And as with other programs, we do offer online and on campus. Fewer prerequisites for this particular program: physiology, microbiology, biochemistry, and basic human nutrition. Next slide. Thanks. And here's the list of courses. Again, similar courses to what you've seen in other programs. We have a brand new course that we just started a week ago to offer. It's health coaching for the prevention of chronic disease. And we're working with the American Council on Exercise, or ACE, and individuals that complete that course will be eligible, if they choose, to sit for the ACE certifying exam to become a certified health coach. So that may be a course that may be of interest to some of our applicants. Similar courses that you see: clinical nutrition and screening and medical nutrition therapy, as well as macro micronutrients, communicating nutrition and health. This program does have a capstone requirement. The MA does not have a capstone requirement. It's a Master's of Arts degree. The Master's of Science does. All three of our MS programs have a capstone project requirement. Field practicum, fewer hours, just 4 units versus 10 in the coordinated program. And we have had students that have come in that have already taken a food science course, and we've then allowed those students to do another elective in our School of Gerontology if you're coming in having completed a food science program already. Next slide. So I think I mentioned this for individuals that want to practice dietetics outside of the U.S., where the U.S. credential is not needed. Individuals that may see themselves as a dietary manager and want this program versus the MA. Those that have interest, health span, longevity, and wellness. Again, with a certified coach, one could potentially go into wellness, which is really looking at wellness and optimum nutrition versus providing medical nutrition therapy. And again, opportunities in this field also. These are students in the picture. You can see me on the end on the left. These are students that have graduated, and they are presenting their capstone project at the California Academy of Nutrition Dietetics Conference. And it is one of the ways of fulfilling a capstone requirement. Next slide. Last but not least, so the Masters of Science in Nutrition Science. In the US, it used to be that only a bachelor's degree was required and an internship for someone to sit for the RDN exam. That is changing. As of January 1st, 2024, a master's degree along with internship will be required to sit for the RDN exam. And we know that in the US right now, only about 50% of all practicing registered dietitians have a master's degree. So this is a big change for my profession, our profession. And we felt that there was a need to have a master's of science given our stellar faculty that we've got here at the school and what we're able to provide. And in this MSNS, we're looking for individuals that have completed an undergrad degree in nutrition and dietetics, or individuals that are working as a registered dietitian nutritionist. And I've added to this, we will consider international applicants who have completed an undergrad degree in nutrition dietetics or are working as a registered dietitian in their home country for this Master's of Science degree program. It's 32 units. The beauty of this program for somebody that's working part-time, full-time is that it can be completed over time while one works, and it can be completed asynchronously, meaning you don't have to be present at the time that the class is happening. You can watch it through Zoom over the weekend when you have time available. Next slide. So some of the similar courses, but not as many. So we assume that if you've got a degree in nutrition dietetics, you don't need some of the more introductory classes. We still want you to take Gero 560 micronutrients for health and longevity, because that is a field that changes over time, a lot new going on. We also asked this group to take the current topics class that I teach, just to be up on what are all the new current research and topics in the area of nutrition. We do ask this group to go with Dr. Walter Longo and understand the role of nutrition in the aging process. That's the Gero 498. And Dr. Vishnanza, who teaches 560, also teaches 564, multiple chronic conditions in older adults. He is a MD geriatrician who not only completed a PhD in nutritional biochemistry, but also did a postdoc training at UCLA, and is a phenomenal instructor in our program. And additionally, the capstone project is there. And then elective 4 units, depending on your area of interest and what you would like to pursue. You have 4 units that you can pick what you'd like to do. Next slide. So again, I mentioned this degree is for those that have already finished an undergrad degree in nutrition dietetics or are practicing as a dietitian. We see it as an opportunity to expand your knowledge base of nutrition dietetics, and similar to our other degree programs, lots of different career opportunities, hospitals, outpatient, research, for this Master's of Science in Nutrition. And as we move forward, we will see more individuals going for a master's degree. This is Whitney English. I have to point out in this picture. So Whitney was one of our students, second career in nutrition dietetics, and she is a writer. Her undergrad degree was in communications, and she now has an online presence and has written a couple books, and is very accomplished in her area. She's used our degree as well as what she had learned in her undergrad degree to be very unique in what she practices. Next slide. So these are just some photos of the study abroad, which is in Genoa, Italy. In fact, our students are there right now. They're in their 3rd week of 4. They have 1 more week after this week, and the course starts in LA and then is 3 weeks in Italy. And the Walter Longo is in the top picture with the Levi's and the Navy T-shirt standing in the middle. That is Walter Longo that teaches this course. And students have their weekends free to be able to explore in Italy. Oh, you're in that picture, Laura. Laura is in the picture. She's the far left. Went to Italy with that group of students. Does it bring back memories, Laura? Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I actually in that bottom picture too, we had the opportunity to watch a surgery, which was
Oh,
quite a
okay.
unique experience that he was able to arrange for us.
Very nice. All right. Next slide. So the other course that we offer is a study abroad in Florence, and it's Gero 488. And it looks much more at the food of the Mediterranean and is taught in Florence, and many different field trips that really look at the role of food and the Mediterranean. Next slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Kreitzer, for those great in-depth explanations of our programs, the coursework, and what it prepares students for in terms of their careers. If you're interested in applying to any of these programs, I encourage you to visit our website and to look up the application requirements. Do want to make sure that you are aware of a couple of important dates and start dates. Our Master of Arts in Food Service Management Dietetic, Master of Science in Lifespan Nutrition and Dietetics, and our Master of Science in Nutritional Science have 3 start dates a year, our fall, spring, and summer start dates. These are the dates that are listed as priority deadlines. We will continue to accept applications on a rolling basis after the priority deadlines. Our Master of Science in Nutrition, Health Span, and Longevity, or our coordinated program, has a set deadline of January 15th every year, and it only has 1 start date, which is our fall semester. For all of these programs, we will require the online application, a resume, your official transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation. If you're an international student or English is not your native language, we may also require English language proficiency test scores. For the 3 of the 4 programs that do have prerequisites, you can fill out a prerequisite chart and send it to an admission counselor for any feedback prior to submitting your application. We will also require those on the application itself. If you do have any questions specifically about your prerequisites, the best way for us to answer them is for you to send that prerequisite chart directly to one of our admission counselors. So I would like to take this opportunity to answer any questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section.
And so, yeah, and then the study abroad was really a fantastic experience. Definitely, I would say a challenging course, but very, very interesting and quite a different structure. We had a lot of different guest speakers, and you really you're in class for a few hours each day, and then the rest of the time is on your own. And so it's a mix of studying, because it is a very challenging class, I will not lie. But then, like Dr. Kreitzer was mentioning, the weekends you can do little getaways, and then you can walk across the street and have an amazing bowl of pasta after you've been studying. So it really was a phenomenal experience that I feel fortunate to have had.
Great, thank you, Laura. And Dr. Kreitzer, you did mention that a couple of these programs require one of the study abroad classes. If a student's not interested in studying abroad, are there any alternatives?
Yeah, we a couple of years ago found that there were enough students that either weren't able to travel, preferred to not travel to Italy, and we actually offer the Gero 498 class is offered on campus or on distance. So for individuals that don't travel to Italy, there is a parallel course that provides the same content. Not exactly the same because you're not in Italy, but academically provides the same content as what you would get had you traveled to Italy.
Great, thank you. And while we do have students that are applying from all over the world, can you talk a little bit about the reciprocity of some of our programs, the exam, the licensure with other countries?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is I always encourage any international students to look at what the requirements are for your home country before you pursue any program. I hadn't even thought about the fact that our Masters of Science in Nutrition, Health Span, and Longevity did not include the word dietetics. And one of our international graduates whose home country is China, she passed the RD exam. She was telling me that she had a hard time getting a job because the degree didn't have the word dietetics in it, even though that was our training program, was a dietetics training program. So each country is going to have their own requirements for courses they need completed, degrees that they need completed, as well as internship. And we have reached out to a number of countries to make sure that we are offering just as much, if not more, than other countries in terms of our requirements. We have a recent graduate that's from Norway who told me that the requirements in Norway are not as stringent as the requirements in the U.S. academically, and that she was over-prepared for going back to Norway to actually work as a dietitian in Norway. So we will continue to gather information to make sure that we're able to offer opportunities. I think the part that's difficult if you go through the coordinated program, pass the RD exam, is keeping up with those 75 hours in order to maintain your credential, if that's something that's important to you. It's a lot of hours. And for those of us, for people that are in the U.S., there's enough activities that go on that enable us to meet those hours, but not so much for people that may be living outside of the U.S. There are 4 countries that have a reciprocity agreement with the U.S. in terms of allowing you to practice as a dietitian in the U.S. You have that list, Stephen. I know it's Ireland.
It is Canada, Netherlands, Philippines, and Ireland.
Okay. All right. Recognized. So the U.S. recognizes the preparation program for dietitians in those countries and would allow you to practice in the U.S. For those that are not in those 4 countries, you would need to figure out one route or another to be able to sit for the RD exam. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, AND, or Ascend, has lots of information about routes to becoming a dietitian. Our coordinated program is one route. There are other ways that people meet the requirements to sit for the RD exam.
Great. Thank you for that explanation. Laura, since you've worked a little bit outside of our program, outside of our school, worked with other registered dietitians in your internship, can you describe what your experience is like graduating from our program and what makes your program unique?
So actually graduating from the program has sort of continually put me in touch with potential employers. My first job outside of the program was with one of the USC hospitals. And so kind of getting started there, I was able to get some experience working inpatient in the hospital. And then from that, worked with on the outpatient side with the same USC hospital system. And then I had a little bit of a gap, but now I've returned to the USC family. And so I will say one thing about the program I think that makes it unique is such the large base of connections and contacts. I think not only is the alumni network with USC very well regarded and very large, but also just all of the different contacts that USC has built in the community. There's a lot of different guest speakers that come into the program as well, which I found really fascinating as a student. Get to hear from all of these different speakers. I know we had one that talked about kind of addiction and recovery, and one was the NICU, and we've had international speakers. And so it just really gives you such a sense of what are dietitians doing out in the community. And then also, maybe I can actually reach out to this person when I'm getting ready to graduate or after I graduate. I was so interested in what they did. So I think it just gives you a really good kind of foundation and good base to have moving on after the program.
Wonderful. So would you say you had any mentorship or buddy experience within the program that prepared you for these jobs or networking after graduation?
I don't know that I would say specifically. Well, actually, so one of the preceptors that I worked with in one of my inpatient clinical rotations, that is one thing I will say also is keep in touch with your preceptors. I actually reached out after finishing, and she was actually the one who put me in touch with the job that I did end up starting with. So I think your preceptors serve as fantastic mentors. Anyone that you connect with, they're really there to support you and teach you, and building that relationship in all the different fields. Any of those are kind of mentor options, whether they're a potential career or they're someone just to call to get advice. I think that would probably be the most for me.
Stephen, could I add to that? So we actually, for the coordinated program, we designate a second-year student to be a mentor for a first-year student because we have a competency that needs to be met. So of mentoring, so that helps. But I think the other thing is we're a smaller program. The Leonard Davis School is probably one of the smallest schools on the USC campus, and we are truly a family. We have lots of lunches. We celebrate a lot of holidays, a lot of special events, and even within our nutrition programs, the students get to know one another. I have a group of 4 students that's working with me to reach the community with the Area Agency on Aging. And I have 3 nutrition students from 3 different programs, and they all know each other, and they all are working well together. And we're delivering this nutrition ed program to the community. So there is networking that goes on within the school, and we really encourage it.
Great, thank you. And some questions from our students. Can you explain the differences on how the internship component works for those that are residential versus those that are online?
Yes, I can take that one. So for those who are residential, if you're taking classes on campus, we are responsible for securing your placements for you. So we will work with you in terms of where your interests are. And then to the best of our abilities, we'll try to match you with sites that will be a good fit for you. And so there are 9 different supervised practice or internship segments. One of them for both distance and on campus is the same because all of the units are just offered through USC. It's a class, we do different projects and assignments, and then the other 8 are where it splits. So if you're on campus, like I mentioned, we do all of that for you. If you are taking it as a distance student, that is where it differs, that is your responsibility. So we certainly help out in terms of getting the contract, but in terms of actually reaching out to preceptors, finding sites that will accept you, that falls more on the student.
But and please don't leave this discussion with thinking that it's a burden we're putting on you. We are available to help you, to run through ideas with you of maybe some places you could try. Jeannie Wakamatsu, who partners with Laura on the internship side, is just a wonder at knowing people and places. And we have a coveted internship in Florida with the VA hospital. They only take us, and here we are in LA. And we've been working with them for years, and we have always had students that don't mind going to Florida. It's a paid internship rotation that the VA provides. So we've got lots of ideas and suggestions we can help you with. We won't just leave you on your own. We will definitely prepare you. We'll give you scripts. We'll give you documents that you can share with sites. But knocking on that door is going to be up to you.
Great, thank you for those explanations. I would like to ask one last question. If any students still have any questions, please put them in the QA feature. And what is your favorite memory with USC or our nutrition and dietetics programs? Laura, I would like to start with you.
My favorite memory, I think just spending so much time with my cohort. There's like a student lounge in the Gero building, and like Dr. Kurtz was mentioning, it's a very small program. It's a very small cohort, and so I can't even think of how many hours we've spent in there just chatting, eating meals, and I've ended up taking away some really close friends from the program. So I think just that kind of camaraderie and different moments going through the program together here.
I guess I would have to say, and mine goes way back, but I'm really committed to not just teaching, but giving students real world experiences. And we're always trying to look for volunteer opportunities for students to get out in the community and be with people. And probably it was, I think, the first cohort of students, we had the opportunity through connections I have with Special Olympics, had the international games of Special Olympics were on the USC campus. And I included all of our students. They got trained. We all had Special Olympic shirts. And probably the most moving part to me, even then we had international students. We had a student who was bilingual, English and German. And we were meeting with the athletes in the healthy healthy choices screening, assessment, education booth that we were doing. And I could hear her talking, but she wasn't talking in English. And I listened a little bit more closely, and she was talking to the team from Germany in German and talking about nutrition. And I don't know why, it really stuck with me. What a wonderful experience to be like right place, right time. And for these students, and we had other languages that students were able to speak with athletes, for them to be in the community, practicing what they had spent hours in the classroom learning, that always is rewarding to me, to see students like practicing what they've learned and always having that aha moment of, I didn't know I knew that much. Wow. So yeah.
Your experiences and knowledge that both of you shared with us today were very insightful. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for our audience.